Hello, this is Jeff Gamble, and this is the MLM Lunchtime Leadership Show. Today, we're going over law number 14, the law of buy-in. So we're going to invite some friends and get this program started. Hope everyone had a great weekend. We're ready to do it again. Tag friends. There we go. Hello and morning. Afternoon to some. Kathy's
Hi,
with
folks.
us.
We're ready to do it again. All right. This is another one of the 21 irrefutable laws of leadership. This one, like Jeff said, is called the law of the buy-in. So the law of the buy-in, people buy into a leader, then the vision. People don't follow worthy causes. They follow worthy leaders who promote worthy causes. So by introduction, we are Jeffrey David Gamble of My Leadership Network, also a certified John Maxwell trainer, and Bess McCarty of MLM Millionaire Club, and also Shrink of MLM. So leadership, John Maxwell's been called the #1 leader, teacher of leader and expert on leadership in the world. So we're real glad to bring you these. If you're watching the replay, please type in replay. Also, love to know where you're from. If you know someone who can use this, a lot of people are sharing this in their groups, in their network marketing groups, so other people can watch live at the same time. So we thank you for doing that. We've been getting great feedback about that. Our purpose, by the way, is to help people grow, to educate, equip, and empower entrepreneurs and create independent servant leaders. Might want to grab a pen and paper. There's always lots of good stuff flowing from here. So, Jeff, love to hear more about the law of the buy-in.
Okay, so guys, what we want to do is, like Bess said, grab a pen, grab a piece of paper, take some notes down. This may be stuff that you can use inside your business, but it may be stuff you can use outside your business as well. Sarah's with us, Stephanie's with us, Camille's with us. Welcome, guys. So it says the law of buy-in. What is it? What is it about? People buy into the leader and then they buy into the vision. So a lot of times what we'll do is we'll have this great idea and we'll want to, run out and tell the world and say, hey, here's what's happening. Here's where I'm going. In direct sales, we say, oh my gosh, this company's launching. Here's what's going on. But in most cases, people will need to buy into you first before they buy into what's going on. So it's very, very important, who you are, what you've been doing up until the point. Some people wonder, well, why is it that you're able to get so many people going right away? Well, if you've been spending a lot of time building in a certain direction and you say, hey, I'm going this way, and people know that you've been doing that, it's much easier to get people to follow you. Chanel's with us. What's happening? Atlanta, Indianapolis. If you can, just write in where you're joining us from. We kind of like to see that. So the law of buy-in. You cannot cast a vision and then expect people to buy in until they've actually bought into you. So it's very, very important to connect with people. It's very important to understand who they are. One of the things that we went over this weekend was everybody communicates if you connect. A lot of people are talking. Obviously, with Facebook and Facebook Live, you have people going on Facebook Live continuously. You have, media coming at you continuously. The news feed is like a machine gun, constant information. The big question is why you? Why are people going to, listen to what you're talking about? And how do you grab their attention? How do you grab their attention? And then how do you deliver your message in a way that you can connect with them, get them to buy into you? Well, one of the things John Maxwell actually said, he was interviewed by Eric Worre just recently. And Eric Worre is like one of the, he's the largest generic trainer of direct sales in the industry. We're working on being second. So what he did is he actually interviewed Maxwell, and Maxwell made a really good point. He's like, the very first thing you want to do when you actually run into somebody and talk about this industry is you want to talk about the things that didn't work out. You want to be able to set expectations, but you also want to be able to deliver, hey, this is the stuff that's happened to me up until now. What I learned from Jim Rohn is Jim Rohn said they will relate 10 times easier to your failures and to your screw ups than they will to your successes. So sometimes getting people to buy in is just being able to do a testimonial and say, look, I didn't have it all figured out. Look, here's where I screwed up. Look, these are the things I've messed up. These are the stuff, this is the stuff that didn't work. You know, and what happens is people relate to that. They're like, oh my gosh, I've had something that didn't work in my life. You know, I had a relationship that didn't work. I had finances that didn't work. I had a business that didn't work. I had, you know, an attitude that didn't work. You know, I didn't work for a period of time. And then all of a sudden I started working on these different things. And because I started working on these different things, it started working out. Shiny earrings. Yes. So do I give people, so here's just kind of a list. First of all, do I give people a reason to follow me? Is there a history there of success? You know, I had a couple friends reach out to me about a company, and it was very easy to make a decision whether to follow them or not because of what they had done in the past. So one of the things you're going to look at is up until now, what have people done? Is it easy to follow them? What does their past show you they're going to do? 2, it says living the law of buy-in. A leader must. So this is a list of a leader must. So if you want to be a leader, if you want people to follow you, here's a list of some stuff that you'll need to do to be able to gain that respect, to be able to gain that that insight that you need to be able to pull people along with you. Number 1 is they develop relationships. I always find it interesting. I'm like, you know, you'll sit down, you'll meet somebody, you'll talk with them, I'll do what they call an agent profile, which is like form, family, occupation, recreation, the message. I'll get to know who they are. And I'll be like, okay, so what we want to do is we want to talk to, you know, some of the people that you know. And they'll be like, I don't know anybody. I'm like, so you're 40 years old. You've lived on this planet for 40 years. I don't know how many days that is, but it's quite a few. And I'm like, you've gone to work, you've gone to school, and you're telling me you can't come up with 10 people? What does that say about that person's relationships? What does that say about that person's ability to connect with people? I'm like, there's a problem right off the bat. You know, should you be able to connect with over 100 people? Yeah, I mean, once you're a certain age, one of the things that I found successful people do is they don't only connect with people, but what they'll do is they'll actually connect with people, and then on top of connecting, they'll stay in touch. They'll find a reason to stay in touch. You know, I'm always leery of a person that's over the age of 30 that is unable to create a list of people. You know, what have you done in the past? How have you messed up, screwed people over? You know, what have you done to these people that you were unable to establish or keep friendships, but, you know, by the age of 30? So it's a really good gauge to tell, you know, who is this person? What's going on with them? Now, I'll be real honest. I lived kind of, you know, a sheltered, I was very much a loner. So I kind of did a lot of things on my own. So I do relate to them. And here's the thing, that's who I was. So when I got started, I didn't have that giant list of people. Although I was in school when I first saw direct sales, but years later when I went out to do it, I was like, I didn't have that list of people. I had to go out and meet everybody. So what I did is I met people where they were at. I knew that they were already at these places. So I went, I dream build. I went to car dealerships. I went to real estate. I went to new home builders, and I was able to meet not only the new home builder, I was able to meet the realtor. I was able to meet the mortgage person. I was able to meet the title people. And I went through the list of people. I was like, well, because of my profession in real estate, I went through a list of the transaction. I was like, in the transaction, one of the first people you meet is the new home builder, and then you meet the realtors that are at the new home builder, and then you meet the mortgage people that are at the new home builder, then you meet the construction people that are at the new home builder, then you meet the title people, then you meet the insurance people, then you meet the warranty people. And I was like, man, there's a lot of people, and that's just one builder. So what I did is I spent my time going out and dream building and looking at these places, and then I took people with me to go look at these places. And all of a sudden, it was really funny because the guy that contacted me, who found me in Walmart, this was years ago in another company, one of the first companies I built really big, he found me in Walmart. You know, I was around the DVD bin. I don't know if you've ever gone Christmas shopping, you know, in, you know, November, December, like right when it starts getting, you know, crazy and, you know, everybody's there. I went real late at night because it was after the gym. And, you know, after the gym, of course, I've already taken a shower and I've got my sweatshirt on, and Indiana gets super cold. So I had this parka on. Actually, what I thought is, I thought he was security of some kind, and he was probably trying to stop me from stealing DVDs. Not that I was stealing DVDs, but it probably looked that way based on what I was dressed like. You know, the huge parka where I could fit a bunch of stuff. And I was sifting through the DVD bin, and he came up and, you know, had this conversation with me and tried to contact me. Well, he was having a problem meeting people because he worked all day, and the only place that he knew to go meet people was Walmart, because obviously there's people walking in and out the whole time. So he would hunt people in Walmart. And I said, you know what? I think there's a better way to do this. There's a better way to do this. So what I did is I started introducing him to the ability to go out and dream build. And I said, look, the people who have money, the people who are actually out doing things, these people are out looking at homes. These people are out. Those are the people that we want in our business. The mortgage people, the sales people, they're coming in contact with hundreds of people. They already know how to contact people. They already know how to invite people. They already know how to present. They already know how to follow up. If they didn't, they wouldn't be in this industry. And I said, all we have to do is change and show them another thing that they could be doing along with what they're already doing and build their way out. And he's like, you know what? That makes a lot of sense. So we started hanging out at those places, and all of a sudden our teams exploded. So number one, we develop relationships. I said, you have to go out and actually meet these people. You have to get to know them, you know, and I encouraged him. This was just, you know, in his situation, because he didn't have really a background. He had left the country for a period of about 27 years. 27 years. He graduated from seminary. And that was his background in the church. He graduated from seminary, was a pastor, and he decided to become a missionary teacher. So he went to Peru. So he lived in the mountains, literally in the mountains, up on a hill next to a volcano. I said, did it ever erupt? He's like, yeah. And I'm like, he's like, don't worry, we made it out. He's like, it just erupted. It went kind of that way. It just blew ash to one side. I was like, you've seen all the movies, right? You know, he's like, no, I lived on side of a mountain. We really didn't have that. I was like, okay, well, in the rest of the movies, when you usually hear about a volcano exploding, that's not a good thing, and people get scared. So I was fearful for him, but he made it back. When he made it back, he really didn't have a background or anything. I said, you know what? I'm going to suggest you to do something that's absolutely totally crazy. I said, I'm going to actually suggest you going to get your real estate license. And he was like, but we're building an MLM company. I said, yes, but I want you to have relatability. I want you to have buy-in with people. So I'm going to ask you to go do something that may be uncomfortable, that may challenge you, that may, you know, and he was in his 50s. And he gave me, well, I don't know if I can do this. I said, see, the same excuses that you're giving me about going and getting this is the same excuses you're hearing back. I said, once you accomplish this, you'll be able to overcome the objection so much easier, because you'll be able to relate. Be like, look, I felt that way too. I know exactly how you feel. But what I found out by actually doing the studying and actually going through this and learning something new is, man, it was so much more exciting. I said, even if you never sell a house, he ended up selling one, but even if you never sell a house, I said, just the experience of being around these people, of getting that certification, you'll have the relatability, you'll have the buy-in with these people. Because when you come out and you're a real estate agent, guess how they're going to treat you at a new home sales place? He's like, wow, I never thought of that. I said, for all the real estate people that you've ever sat down and talked to, you will now have an interesting perspective to be able to relate with them. And this doesn't mean everybody should go get the real estate license. Don't get me wrong. It was just in his case, it's what he needed. As a leader, what you have to do is figure out what people need, and then help them accomplish or overcome whatever that is. It was stuff I couldn't have taught him in a lifetime, but his experience, his business exploded, because once he knew he could do it, and once he accomplished that, and once he graduated, and then once he took the state test, he was like, oh my gosh, I had no idea that real estate agents had to learn so much complicated, ridiculous information. I had no idea that there were so many terms. I had no idea that there were so many possibilities, so many situations. He goes, in fact, he goes, I actually, you know, respect this. Tim's with us. What's happening, sir? So he goes, I respected it so much that now I was able to relate to people. And he went out and recruited real estate agents. He went out and recruited, I mean, some very, very highly successful people. Why? It was because he had the relatability and the buy-in. So, you know, number two, be honest, authentic. Be honest and authentic. It develops trust. You know, one of the things I loved about some of my mentors are the people who are able to go out and develop that trust, the people who are able to go out and develop those relationships. But they were authentic. They were the people they were. If I met them on the street, they were the same person that was on the video. They were the same person that was in the room. So one of the things is, you want to be that person, whoever that is. Just be authentic. Be you. And here's the thing. Most people are trying to be somebody else because they don't like who they are. They may be self-conscious. They may look at themselves and say, but yeah, but I don't have all these qualities. So they're like, I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna wait until I have this. I'm gonna wait until I have that. I'm gonna wait until I lose weight. I'm gonna wait until I gain weight. I'm gonna wait until I have the nice clothes. I'm gonna wait until I buy the nice car. I'm gonna wait until I have the perfect house or perfect situation, or maybe I meet somebody. What I can tell you is you don't have time. You don't have time to figure all that out. You want to be authentic. People will buy you now. And here's the thing that I had to realize. I didn't want to go out and kind of present myself like this because I'm like, man, there's so many other great trainers. There's Eric Worre. Eric Worre says some of the stuff. There's John Maxwell. John Maxwell says some of the stuff. And I kind of looked all the way down this list of people that I respected, that I looked at, and I was like, why me? Why me? Why should I go out in front of everybody? It doesn't make sense to me because there's all these other great people. Here's one thing that I found out. Because of this information, one of the things I used to actually help me do this was the law of the lid. The law of the lid. What I realized is that Maxwell, out of a scale of 1 to 10, Maxwell's like 97. Tony Robbins is like 97. Jim Rohn is kind of like 97. He's dead, but he was 97 when he was alive. Les Brown is like 97. So there were all these people that not only topped the chart, but they were so far off the chart that I couldn't relate to them when I first started, but I could relate to them now. So what I realized is there was probably a group of people that would look up to those guys and be like, I can't even get close to that. So what I was able to do is come down a little bit and say, maybe I'm right here. I'm right in the middle. Maybe I'm right in the middle of this. And maybe I can inspire some people who might not look up to Tony Robbins because that's not even a possibility. Maybe they'll relate to me because I'm in the field right now. I'm not on a giant stage with 30,000 people in an auditorium every weekend. I'm still building to that. So I will be that person who influences people and introduces people to Tony Robbins, introduces people to John Maxwell, introduces people to Jim Rohn. And that just worked for me. Now, I only tell you that because hopefully that information helps you. The people can join you because that's who they relate to now. That's who they, see growing now, that you're a step ahead of them now. Hopefully that's what you're able to see. That's what translated to me. Next, holds themselves in high standards. You want to hold yourself to a higher standard. I talked with Bess last night, and I was at the gym. She's like, oh my gosh, I should work out at the gym. I said, well, everybody I think could work out at the gym. I said, but maybe not at 2 a.m. Choose your time differently. It just made sense to me to work out at that time because I didn't want to take away from what I was doing in the middle of the day. But hold yourself to a higher standard. How you dress, how you react. Make sure that you're better. What I say is better. I don't want to use the word better. Make sure your standard's higher in how you deal with people. Be the person that always follows up. Be the person that reaches out. Brandy was able to do this yesterday, and I'll kind of, tell you a story. She was like, there's a person that I've been friends with for a while, and I met her at the gym, and I've tried to stay in touch with her. Her family's been going through some stuff. Her dad had fallen and gotten sick and, broke his hip and this, that, and the other thing. She goes, John, your lesson the other night made me remember to reach out. So she was able to reach out to her again. And she says, you know what? I'm so thankful. I'm so thankful you were able to reach out because so many people know that all this bad stuff's going on. And because of that, they don't reach out. I haven't heard from them. She's like, but you, a person that I met in the gym, a person that I barely even know, has reached out so many more times than my closest friends. So it doesn't take a whole, in today's world, it doesn't take a whole lot. It's actually, but it's everybody's communicating, everybody's putting messages out, everybody's sharing cat videos and funny stuff, but there's very few people who are connecting with people. That's where the connection starts, is, that one-on-one, actually caring, finding out what's going on. Gives people the proper tools. One of the things I think Bess is so good at is she's able to be like, hey, and here's the book, and here's the video, and here's the reference point, and here's a person to follow or look at. That's one of the things I found with some of the greatest leaders out there, is they were able to supply the tools. Hey, if you're trying to overcome something, not only here's how to do it, but here's the reference source so you can go figure it out, and equip that person to be on their own. Because that's the whole goal of leadership, is equipping a person to be able to make the decisions and figure it out on their own. Oh, great. Is it too late to get a ticket? No. No, it's not too late to get a ticket. Somebody just asked me that. So, gives the proper tools. Helps followers achieve their goals. So, it's impossible to help somebody achieve their goal if you don't know what it is. It's not impossible. It'd be like Lucy. It'd be like drawing back the arrow, spinning somebody around and saying, hit the target, and put a blindfold on them. You know, the likelihood of them hitting a target or any target would be pretty unlikely if you spun them around in a circle with a blindfold on and just to say, hey, hit the target. You'd actually want to run and get out of the way, because who knows where they're going to fire that arrow. So it helps first to find out who people are and what they're about and find out what their goals are to be able to help them. Develops their leadership, you know, brings them to events, gives them the tools, shows them, you know, leadership skills. That's one of the things I like is putting out quotes about leadership. You'll find people who are interested in leadership. So whatever you put out on a regular basis, you're going to kind of draw to you. The people who put out negative things consistently, oh my gosh, this in the news. Oh my gosh, this person said this. Oh my gosh, this happened in court. Oh my gosh, this person, you know, the people who do that, what they're going to attract is all the negativity to them. And then they all can sit and, you know, garp and, you know, throw up on each other about all the stuff that's bad and horrible in the world. The same is true about the good things. You can find the good things. So these are just some of, you know, under, you know, a leader must develop relationships, honest, authentic, hold themselves to higher standards, give people the proper tools, help followers achieve their goals, develop their leadership. This is just a small group of stuff that you can help out with. So with that, I'm going to take a break here because there's 3 through 7, and I'm going to turn this back over to Bess, kind of get her insights, and then we'll come back and go through 3 through 7.
Thank you, Jeff. I'm taking notes again and looking at myself again. And how can I go to the next level? I'd like to say hi to Jacqueline and Joyce and Donald. Maybe I wore these for you today. So you can have that song in your head. You're welcome. I'll have to look up that song because I don't think I know it. We thank you for, if you're getting value of this, we thank you for liking, comment, and sharing and allowing other people to get benefit from it too. So we like the likes and loves. Gee, what you were saying, Jeff, about wondering why you know, I've asked myself the same thing. Why me? There's a lot of network marketing teachers out there. There's a lot of coaches. So why me? Well, what I came down to realizing was that there is only one me and there's only one you. We each bring different unique things to the table. To all the people that are out there can resonate with different things. A client told me, she said, you are like a female Eric Worre. You know, you bring qualities to the table that Eric can't as a male, and we need the expertise that you have, but along with your feminine aspect, because her team was mostly female. So they related to me as a trainer for their team. But there's unique things that each of us have that somebody's going to relate to you more than anyone else. And there's no one else like you in the whole world. So the world needs you. I think of it like a bouquet of flowers, and there's a whole bunch of different bouquets. You know, all the people in the world, or me looking at all the network marketing teachers, as roses and lilies and all different kinds of flowers. And they all together make up the bouquet. All the variety makes up the bouquet. And I am one of those flowers. And it makes the whole, right? But someone may have, you know, rose may be their favorite, or a morning glory may be their favorite flower for different reasons. So there's so many different people out there, and don't worry, you don't have to compare, be the best, measure up against anyone else. There's someone that's going to relate to you as their sponsor because you're a perfect match for them, because they like you, because they buy into you, because you are your unique self. Just like a snowflake, there's no one else like you. Why not be yourself? Because everyone else is taken, right? But why deprive the world of your own beauty and uniqueness if we're not ourselves? I was so scared to show who I was, again, because I thought, you know, I was very shy as a kid, and I thought I wouldn't be accepted or liked or good enough. I thought I'd be criticized. So I was very scared to share who I really was. I think I'm still working on that. But how can people buy into you or connect with you or relate to you unless you let that out, let that shine, your uniqueness and who you really are, including your fears and your strengths and your weaknesses. Because I had to accept, oh gosh, we're all human, and I better accept myself and accept other people too. Because if I'm judgmental of me, I'm sure as heck judgmental of the next person. And that's going to keep them away from me. They're not going to buy into somebody who cannot love themselves, cannot accept themselves and be themselves. So I thought, oh, what the heck? You know, it's too lonely to appear perfect and separate and isolate myself from other people out of fear. It's too lonely. What the heck? I'm going to take a risk and be myself and see what happens. And I've liked it. And that was 20, 30 years ago when I became a body-mind therapist and had to go through my own clearing that I went through. It was rough. It was rough cracking open my shell that wanted to protect and isolate me. So I was kind of a rebel. I was different than a lot of people. And I said, okay, well, I'll just be fine by myself. I won't need people, right? And that's not a happy way, was not happy a way for me to live, nor could I be successful in anything, because success always requires a team. And John Maxwell, a while back, I read this great little book that he wrote on teamwork. And he said, at the end of a big project that people work on together, if they're asked, well, what was your favorite part of that? You know, especially down the road, months or years down the road, they may not remember exactly what they did as a team, but they do remember the people, the connections that they had. That was the enjoyable part of it, not whether they won or not, or accomplished or not. It was the people that they worked with. That's what people remembered out of working together as a team. And network marketers, after years of being in network marketing, they look back over their career and they say, what's the best part? Has it been the money, the power, being on stage, you know, the influence that you have? They say it was the people that we know and the lifelong relationships that we developed. So remember that people do not join a business, they join you. And if when Jeff was talking about realtors connecting with other realtors or people like this, I think it's great to look to prospect people in your same career or livelihood or group that you're in, because you have that in common and you can relate to them. You, more than anyone else, knows what that realtor goes through and what joys and stresses that they have that you can then help them with. And that could be that way with any profession. Gandhi says that, or Gandhi demonstrated that a leader finds a dream and then people follow that leader. And that's why athletes and actors, why they promote products for people, and why people buy into them, because they already have that credibility. Of course, you can develop that yourself too. And I'll turn it back to Jeff here.
So what we want to do is bring awareness, because with awareness brings change. So we've gone over, you know, do I give people a reason to follow me? A leader must. And now 3, does my vision resonate with the people? So one of the visions, you know, when you're out building a vision, if your vision's just about you, and it's not about something bigger, Bess and I were talking about this last night, most people who build big usually have a desire to take care of the people around them. You know, typically it's family, but take care of the people around them, their team. And then most people have a vision to, you know, contribute something to the world, help other people. We think that, you know, that's one of the key signs that somebody's grown to the next level, is they're taking it off of themselves and they're actually able to see and be able to help others, you know, leave something better for everyone else. 4, the order of buy-in is first who and then why. Meaning people buy into the leader first and then why they're doing what they're doing secondly. So if you're trying really hard to get people to understand where you're going, but they're not getting it, what they're not getting is they're not getting you. So that's where you have to be able to connect with them first and really share with them who you are, and then, you know, along with what you're doing. Max, what's happening? 5, if the why is big enough, the how will come to us. I followed a guy for years. Casey Towns is with us. What's happening, sir? I followed a guy for years, and he said, if the facts are big enough, or if the dream is big enough, the facts don't count. And it's not that the facts don't matter. It's just when the dream is big enough, you'll find a way around. You know, I was told if you want to get to the other side, you have to find a way, build a bridge, you know, find a rowboat, you know, find a rope, swing across, like whatever you've got to do. If you want to get to the other side, you have to make it to the other side. Figure out how to do it. You know, make a human chain of people that are each going to hold on to. I don't know if you've ever seen anybody, you know, be able to cross really deep water with a chain of people where they link arms and they basically go all the way across. One person, the person at the end is kind of, you know, basically swimming, but you just keep adding person after person after person. Once the other person gets to the other side, if you have enough people, then what happens is the people who make it to shore can pull the rest of the people across. It's actually an amazing way to get across. But that's what we're talking about. You know, when you're trying to build something big, huge, when you're trying to accomplish something that's amazing, it's going to take a large group of people to accomplish, you know, these type of teams, these type of organizations that we're talking about building. If you want to get free, it's not likely you're going to get free with one or two people. It's likely that you're going to be free. Here's what I found out, and this may be a new definition of freedom. It's not getting a lot of people on your team. It's getting enough people on your team that understand the game, that are independent. And what my mentors taught me is what you want to do is, a lot of people get in the business and it's part-time income. Well, if it's part-time income, here's what we know. People will always defend their greatest income. People will always defend their greatest income, which means if their job threatens the business, if their job says, look, if you're doing anything else on the side, you're done, most likely they will give that up because they're always going to stick with their greatest income. So what I learned inside of direct sales is you have to build people where their greatest income is what? Their direct sales business. It's not their only income, don't get me wrong. We don't believe in it's their only income. What we believe in is that it's their main income. If it's the main income that supplies everything else they do, then you have what? You have somebody who's dependent, but you don't necessarily have the security. What you want to do is build somebody who it's their main income, and then help them build somebody who's it's their main income, and then build somebody that it's their main income. When I learned from people, they said, you know, the best news is if we drew out our organization, we have somebody backed by somebody who's backed by somebody who's backed by somebody who's backed by somebody who's backed, 5, 10 levels deep, who are full-time, who would defend this first. I know my income's not going anywhere. Here's why. Because it supports so many other families. I was like, wow, that is a different level of security. He goes, you know, I'm not looking for one person to run a group. I'm looking for a group of people to run an organization. That's the only way that I know. So when I go out, I'm helping people, you know, I'm helping people get extra money. I'm helping people develop extra money. That's what you're doing in the beginning. But after you help people develop extra money, then you're helping people develop significant money. Significant money is, you know, where they're like, wow, I have so much. I've paid off everything. Now what do I do? That's a good situation to be in. Then you help people develop full-time income. You know, now I have to make a choice. The choice is do I stay with my full-time income because I'm making more part-time than I am full-time? I was told, you know, pay everything off. I was told make sure you have 6 months in the bank. I was told you have no debt. I was told you're never going to have to go back. You never want to be in a situation where you're going to have to go back to work. I was told make sure you're making so much that your business is moving so fast that it demands you. You have to leave your current job. What most people do is they just have one good month that equals what their job is, and then they quit. And businesses do this, and then the next month they go from 4,000 or 5,000 to 1,000 because there's a weird month, or it's Christmas, or you know there's a snowstorm in the Midwest. There's snowstorms. You know, some of you might be calling, you know, from Miami, and they're like, there are no snowstorms down here. But you guys have hurricanes and weird stuff. There's weather stuff that happens. So this is just what I was taught, to back yourself so you never have to go backwards. But if the dream is big enough, am I giving people time to buy in? Sometimes some people are going to need to hear it once. Some people are going to need to hear it repeatedly for months or years to be able to be, you know, bought into the dream. It's always nice for a leader to come into town and say, hey, here's what we're doing. Here's the dream. They leave for a month, 2 months, 3 months, and all of a sudden you see them 3 months later and they come back in and say the same thing. It might be kind of like, wow, it's just the same thing. It's the same thing. But there's a security in the same. There's a security in people being who they were when you met them last, and they're still that same person running for those goals and dreams. They might have accomplished more. They might have built a bigger team, but the vision of where they're going is still the same direction is what I'm talking about. My vision is truly right for others. That's kind of 7 is my vision truly right for others? Is it really all about me? You know, and Grant Cardone said something Bess and I were talking about last night. Grant Cardone said something when he was interviewed by Eric Worre. And you hear these people say it all the time. You know, I hear a lot of people, well, I just don't need much. I just don't need a whole lot. You know, I don't need a fancy car. I don't need all this stuff. I don't need this. That's great. But what you're doing is you're only thinking about you. I have conversations with people all the time, and you can just hear this self-centeredness pour out of them as they're like, well, I just don't need that. I don't need this. Well, that's great. But if you have the talent to produce more, if you have the talent to do more, and you're not doing it, so basically what you're saying is God's gifted you with all this, but you've just decided to be average. What does that say about his creation? Mm-hmm. That's what self-centeredness is. So many people are in that position where they're just thinking about themselves. What are you doing to help others? You know, that's great that you've got to a point where you can relax, but what are you doing to help anybody else? You know, we were talking last night about building an organization. I said, wouldn't it be nice that you were able to take care of everyone around you, but everybody had a goal of not just taking care of yourself, not just taking care of everybody around you, but what if you had to pick out somebody and help them too? A third of the world lives in absolute poverty. A third of the world lives with absolute nothing. What if everyone's goal was not just to take care of themselves, not just take care of the people around them, but you had to find somebody you didn't know and help out? How would things be different then? And only then would you have the accolades of, you know, being on stage. Only then would you be able to come up and say, you know, once I took care of myself, once I put, you know, it's kind of like the plane that has an emergency, you know, put the mask on yourself, then put the mask on your kids, then go help somebody else. That's kind of what we're talking about. What if that was the mentality that we built around? What if that was the culture that we built? Help yourself, help the people around you, but then find somebody to go help and help them. There's lots of people out there looking for a way. There's lots of people out there looking right now. They're like, okay, I'm not going to make it through the month of August. I'm not going to be able to pay my bills at the end of the month. I'm trying to figure out rent. I'm trying to figure out the car. I'm trying to figure out a way. They need options. They need help. They're like, I'd love to live in a bigger house. I'd love to get a car that runs. I'd love to get a car. Watch this. And I was in a position like that. I'd love to have a car that has all the same tires. You know, I'd love to have a car that's painted all one color. I don't know if you've ever had that car. You know, I'd love to live in a place where I don't constantly wonder if, you know, if the door is going to get kicked in. I would love to live in a place where, you know, I could hear, you know, rather than sirens, I could hear, you know, wildlife. You know, there's a lot of people who are in that situation, and what we have to do is just go out and share this business. But at the same time, we have to take care of ourselves. And that's the main point of what we're talking about, is the law of buying is, what do you look like? If you're coming in as the savior, as the person who's trying to help people out, do you look like you can help them out? Visually, do you look? Do you sound like you can look? Have you been doing it long enough? And watch this. This is where your upline, this is where your support team comes in. Even if you don't, can you point to somebody you work with that can? That's where, because a lot of people are like, wow, I don't have any of these qualities. But are you working with somebody who does? You say, look, I know I don't look like the person, but I guarantee I work with the person. I would like to introduce you to them. Don't look at me. I'm not here to say me. I'm here to show you the people I work with. That's where third party becomes so powerful. So with that, I'm going to turn this back over to Bess, and then we're going to wrap up.
Boy, that talk that we had last night about being selfish, I too had heard Grant Cardone say that before, and it really struck me. I thought, okay, busted. There's a part of me that says, oh, I don't need, a part of me that is spiritual and non-materialistic, and it likes to be happy with what I have and grateful for what I have and all of that. But it's okay to want a better life. It's okay to want the next step, and it's okay to want to give to life. That really struck me, how, when Grant said that, when I heard him say that, how much I am thinking about me and my own little world versus a bigger world. And I know that when I do think of serving others or being able to be generous, I feel so good. Like my sister's like that. She's very, very generous, and she's always looking to see what people can use that she can give them. And she's really happy when she finds something that somebody can use that she can give them, because how good she feels. And she's done that with me and our other family members, and is teaching me to do that too. I think, oh, she feels good. I want to feel good too. I want to give too. And then I realized how selfish it is to be altruistic. because when you give and when you think of others, you feel good. And so there's a selfish reason for being altruistic. When I have interviewed hundreds and hundreds of network marketers, their goals and their whys, first of all, is their family and themselves. And then most of the time, nearly all of them have a bigger cause. And then when they're okay, then I want to help the world and feed build schools in Africa and build homeless shelters and animal shelters and everything. And so they always have two, take care of me, then take care of the world. Because at the end of our life, how will we feel? How will we feel about what we've done? Did we do what we came here to do? Did we give it our all, or did we settle? Did we think small? Did we think of just me? Well, I don't need much, so I don't need to make much. And besides, whatever we have, whenever we reach a goal, the next goal keeps us alive and excited and fulfilled. So speaking of sharing, I want to thank Lisa, because she said she just shared this live with someone. So thank you very much for doing that. And 3 ways to apply the law of the buy-in. We know that a leader plus vision equals results. We need them both, but first people have to buy into the leader. So take a look at, do 3 things to apply the law of the buy-in. Number 1, write down your vision statement for your group, for your team. And it can be something like, for network marketers, could be like, we're going to help people get out of debt, or we're going to help people be their own boss. We're going to help people have time and financial freedom. Whatever your theme is, or your vision for your group, you can communicate that, and that unites you, and that gives you a focus. Well, that's what we're here to do. We're sort of like superheroes. We have a mission. We're out to do something. So write down your vision statement for your team, and then write the buy-in quality of each member on your team on a scale of 1 to 10. That how much they buy into you. And then number 3, develop a strategy to earn more credibility with each team member. It might be individual for each one. Back to Jeff.
So, leading others to the law of buy-in. Others can suggest a new idea and people are all over it, but when I suggest something, everything falls apart. So when people say that, like, well, I've suggested stuff and people just don't, well, you don't have buy-in yet, which means you haven't connected with the people. Once you connect with the people, and once they realize that, one of the things we talked about this weekend is, inside of Everybody Communicates If You Connect, people ask 3 questions. The first question is do you care about me? Do you care about me? It's impossible for somebody to feel like they care about you if you don't know anything about them. So one of the first things is get to know who they are. I use an agent profile to do that and ask those questions, from form, family, occupation, recreation, the message. We talked about this. When you go through those questions, the way that we've got them written, you not only get to know the person, but you might learn more about that person than their best friend knows about them. So you're able to connect with them on a very, very different level. The second question is, can you help me? Can you help me? Do you understand? Do you know how to help me through whatever I'm going through? Obviously, if it's in business, you know how to help me, figure this out. Lillian's with us, Bill's with us, what's happening? So can you help me? And then the last question is, can I trust you? Which is really, really powerful. Can I trust you? What are other people saying? Is this the path you're going to stay on? Or have you jumped 52,000 times to different stuff? Do you have shiny object syndrome? Every time there's a squirrel that runs by, do you chase it? Every time there's a crystal ball, every time there's a light, do you run after it? My cats do. I'm just saying. But, certain people are like that too. So you kind of have to ask yourself that question, am I on the path? Am I staying on the path? Hey, this is me. This is what I'm doing. Chris, what's happening? This is me. This is what I'm doing. This is the path I'm staying on. And certain people become professionals in their industry and they get known for certain things in their industry. John, what's going on? They get known for what they do in their industry, and they're so well known for their industry that people just be like, I don't even know, here's what's great. I don't even know what they're thinking about doing, but based on what they've done in the past, you should follow them. That's where it becomes really powerful. That's why certain people have automatic buy-in. Another thing it says is I have a difficult time introducing change to our organization. Well, first of all, what I can tell is most people just need an organization, right? Most people are like, I just need somebody on my team, please, please, please. But what we're talking about is the things leading up to people on your team. This is what we're talking about. Are you changing directions constantly? Are you saying you're going to show up to your event and then not showing up? And then people watch that and see that. Oh, yeah, I'm 100% committed. Hey, don't you have a meeting on Tuesday? Yeah, well, I was going to go, but here's my list of excuses that I created this week why I can't do it. And then you wonder why they don't get in. Oh, yeah, I'm super excited about my business. Isn't there a convention this weekend? Yeah, I was going to go, but let me tell you the reasons. Once you commit all out and you're like, I'm going no matter what happens is people, here's the thing. If certain people, if there's a group of people that don't think you're obsessed, if there's a certain group of people that don't think you're a little crazy for doing what you're doing, you're probably not doing enough. You're probably not doing enough. You know, and I used to hear this a lot, and it wasn't until I heard Grant Cardone. I've heard other people say it, but it wasn't until I heard Grant Cardone. Grant Cardone says, I don't want people to think I'm average. He's like, obsession is okay. Obsession is okay. You know, you're, well, don't burn the candle at both ends. I'm like, what the hell is a candle good for? A candle's only good if it burns out. That's what it was supposed to be. It was supposed to be used. You know, well, you know, you can't work all the time. Really? Certain people are making things happen. Certain people are figuring out, certain people are changing the world. Everyone else is at home watching TV, watching people who are changing the world. I just wanted to be one of those people, so I got rid of my TV. All of a sudden, I had a lot of time. So with that, guys, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up and end. I'm going to turn this back over to Bess for any closing thoughts. Thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it. We do this every day, Monday through Friday at 12 o'clock noon Eastern Standard Time. If you haven't already joined us, you can join us on the MLM Lunchtime Leadership Show. We have a Facebook page. You can come on there, get updates along with, you know, insights on what we're doing, when our next events are, and what's going on. So we just appreciate everybody for jumping on. With that, I'll turn it over to Bess.
Who has a question? Thank you so much, Jeff. Who has a question for us? A real quick question about network marketing, about this topic, about leadership, about buy-in, about credibility, about developing trust. Want to say hi to Lillian and John, just came on. Crabs in a pot. Jeff, when you were speaking about being different, sticking out, go ahead. The story there, you've heard the stories of all these crabs in the pot. When one wants to start crowd, the other ones pull it back in because maybe they're jealous or they're scared for them, or they don't want to be left, or they don't want them to be different or something like that. Oh, be like us. And we feel better if you stay in the same, if you don't go out venturing, because maybe that means we should and we don't want to. So stay here so we won't have to look at ourselves even. So this is going to happen. Part of your strengthening, part of your spiritual muscle that you get is dealing with that and saying, I believe in my vision more than my fear, or more than other people's fears, more than other people's opinions. So thank you each for being here. If you do have a question later, we'll keep this thread going. We do check back and respond. So let's keep it going. Tomorrow is our number 5, the law of victory, finding a way. You find a way. You're committed to that victory, like Jeff said. You're committed, you know, to getting to that convention. You find a way to get there. And people do trust and follow and are magnetized to that much confidence and commitment. That's it.
With that, guys, appreciate it. We will talk to you soon. Thank you so much for joining us.